Check this out. In Joshua chapter 10, God does one of the most unbelievable miracles, and it's not what you might think it is. So leading up to this chapter, the Israelites were taking on the final battles before they entered the promised land. Sometimes they trusted God, and when they did, it went really well for them. Sometimes they didn't even think to ask God before entering a battle, and it did not go well for them in their own strength. And other times, God actually told them to not go ahead, and they did anyway, and of course they were slaughtered. But in Joshua 10, this was a situation that the Israelites were extremely outnumbered, but they believed God when he said that he would fight for them. So these surrounding countries had heard that the Israelites swore to defend this big people group from a city called Gibeon. So these 5 kings of the Amorites come with their insane number of army men from all 5 kingdoms against Gibeon. And the Gibeon people are like, "Hey, Israel, will you still defend us?" And in order to keep their integrity, Joshua and the Israelites decide to defend their allies. So in verse 8, it says, "And the Lord said to Joshua, 'Do not fear them, for I have delivered them into your hand. Not a man of them shall stand before you.'" And so it says that God routed them in front of Israel, and they were able to chase them down and kill off a lot of them. But then God sends a hailstorm, and it was the most violent hail they had ever seen, and even more of them died from the sword. So then the battle wasn't over, though. It was midday, and I do not know what overcame Joshua, but he had the strongest faith I've ever seen because he knew that God was fighting for him. So he literally declared to the sun that it should stand still. Check out verse 12 and 13. It says, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Ajalon." So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped till the people had revenge upon their enemies. And it's like the Bible knows how hard this is to believe, because in verse 14, it says, "And there has been no day like that, before it or after it, that the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel." And what I want to ask you today is, what's harder to believe? The fact that God, the one who created the sun and the moon, can stop the rotation of planets or somehow make the pattern of night and day pause, or the fact that God, the creator of the universe, put himself at the service of a man. Can you just imagine how much humility that takes for the whole God of the universe to lovingly serve a man? And I don't say this lightly, because I know that Jesus set this precedent for us, that we know that this is a real thing. This is a real characteristic of God. He's so humble. He doesn't lord it over us, that he is God, and we should be constantly begging for mercy because he is so holy. And we are so not holy, and our choices every day make us even more not holy. But instead, he laid himself down. He went to a cross willingly and died for us. I don't know if you already know Jesus like that, but I want to tell you that he wants to have a relationship with you. He died for you 2,000 years ago, and he's been waiting since then for you to invite him into your life, to clean you from everything not holy and give you a place in his kingdom, working with you and in you to use the gifts that he put inside you to push back the darkness in this world and bring more people back into relationship with him. He wants you to know him as Father, and he wants you to know him as friend. And to me, that is truly unbelievable.